Hi, welcome to the Gamesplainer. I'm Jeff the Gamesplainer, and today I'm gamesplaining Old West Empresario. So this game is set up as a 2-player game. If it was set up as a 3 or 4-player game, there would be more of these out there, and there would be 2 more dice per player also. And that's pretty much it for the differences. What you're doing on your turn is you're choosing one of the dice that's been rolled, moving the number up or down by 1 if you wish to. You don't have to, but if you wish to. And when you do that, it would cost you 1 money. And then you're taking one of the tiles out of the column that you've chosen. So for example, this player might go, oh, I really want this distillery as the tile. So he would take the number 2 out. He hasn't had to spend any dice because he hasn't upped or down that number by 1. He could have gone into this line to take one of those 2. Turning this 1 into a 6 would have cost him 1, so that would go back to the bank, and he takes that tile. That tile is now built face down. You can build it wherever you like, as long as it's connected to the current city. If that's what your city looks like and you're to build something else, you cannot build that something else only attached to unbuilt buildings. You have to have it connected to completed buildings. Diagonal is not connected. That spot is then replaced with the top card, so there's always 2 in each column. Other things that a player could do, other than building in their own town, is they could go, oh, I'll use the 2, I'll take that and discard that tile for 3 money. They take 3 money in, and then that is replaced just like previously. Or they could take the 1 or the 2 and pay to up or down it by 1. But take the 1 to activate anything that's showing a 1 in their town. So by doing that, he has enabled himself to activate this, which gets him 1 more money. So that's 1 money for each guy beside him. 1 money come in. He can activate that if he wishes, which he'll probably do. So he spend 1 money to complete building on one of the other buildings. And then he gains, because this is also number 1, it's now built. Any other tile that's face down will now turn over. So let's say, for example, that one happened to be in there as well. At this point, he could now use that action to build this. All 3 of those have been used, so it's in the rules to just push them to the side, the ones that have been used, because you can only use each building, their action once in each year. What now happens with the 1 die that's left over, you can action one of your tiles. So this one actually has a 2, so he could action that one and get 2 more money, and that has been actioned. This guy, because he doesn't have any 2s, he can only action this one, which is either to pay 1 money to turn one of his other tiles over, or gain 1 extra money. So notice when you selected a die to action tiles, you can action as many tiles you have that have that number. At the end, everyone's going to action 1 die that's left, but you can only action 1 tile with that number. Other symbols to be very aware of is this symbol. That symbol means that you will action something else. So if this whole city hadn't been actioned yet, and the number 6 was used to get this tile actioned, I could spend 1 money to action one of these other tiles. So maybe if he actioned this one. So that one's been actioned, that one actions, which would gain him 2 money back in. And the other one to be aware of is this tile that has one of these sections here. What that means is when you're actioning a 3, you can spend a money and a cowboy. How do I get cowboys? By doing that. Or there are other symbols anywhere that has the green outline of the cowboy. That's these tiles. So let's say he had one of them. He would spend a money and one of those tokens to gain one of the buildings that's in the number 3. So he might gain that one, and that goes face down and will be eventually built, and he'll be able to use that as with all the other buildings. Once this die has been actioned by everyone, we start the next round. So this first player marker gets passed to the other player or to the next player along. All the buildings that were sideways get pulled the right way round. All of the dice get rolled again and put back up on their spots, and we start with this player. The only other elements that I haven't touched on is these. The more of these you have, the better off, because they're worth a point each at the end of the game. These guys each have something different on their front, so they give you some different benefits, and it says it on the card. If you're still not sure after reading the card, it also has a listing of them in the back of the rulebook with slightly more wording. And then this bit here needs to be remembered. It's actually a really vitally important part of the game. So what this is saying is that this will get 1 point at the end of the game for every red building that it's next to. So I would need to build one of these next to it. The red buildings get 1 point for every blue building they're next to it. The mine gets 2 points for being next to a pink building or an inn. But if I have another inn there, it's not going to get another 2 points. It's only one lot of the 2 points for that mine. And then 1 extra point for every red building that's next to. So I would actually be better having them coming in that order, because they're all then going to score all their possible points. The pink building is going to get points for every green spot that they're next to. These ones are the green spots. Notice they are double-sided, so this stuff at the bottom only happens once. So as soon as that's built, he would get 2 money and one of these guys. This will get 4 points for the person who has the most of them in a contiguous line. So if I only have one and the other player doesn't have any, this player is going to get 4 points. If they both have one, I believe they both get the 4 points. If it was built like that, that still only counts as one in a contiguous line. It would have to be there to make it the 2. But having this one here, that would score 1 extra point for having a second of those green ones next to it. This one gets 1 extra point for being next to a brown spot. It also gets points for empty spots next to it. The brown one will get 1 point for being next to the purple, but it would also get another 4 points if it's completely surrounded. At the moment, it's not completely surrounded. At the moment, it's still not completely surrounded because this one isn't completed. That one actually has to be built for this one to be completely surrounded and get the 4 points. And then there's this type of building which gains differently depending on which building it is. That's kind of the civic buildings. Their only purpose is endgame points. They're not going to get you any extra stuff through the game. The other one is this one, which is in the end of the game is going to lose you a point for everything that it's next to. But whenever you action it, you're gaining one of these. So if you can action it a couple of times, you'll get a few points out of it. Every opponent, whenever you action that, would lose 1 money. It doesn't come to you, it goes back to the bank, but they would lose 1 money. So there's a question mark about whether you should or should not build them. I'll leave that up to you and what type of player you are. The other thing that you will have noticed is the top left corner has some different symbols. There's the railroad line, which is gaining 1 point for each in your largest contiguous group. So this one would gain 4 points. Oil, which is everyone counts up their oil. Whoever has the most oil spots would gain 1 point per oil. Everyone else would gain 1 point per 2 oils. And cotton, let's build that in there. Cotton is gaining per field of cotton you have. So here there's 2 fields of cotton, so that's 2 points. If it looked like that, because these two are next to each other, that would only be 1 point for 1 field of cotton. These cards are all different, so have a read of them to see what they mean. I've actually been over them already. The only other thing is these cards up here. They can't tell you what you're working towards. So as soon as you have 5 of these guys, you can take that top one, which will give 4 points. This one is giving you 5 points for having 5 of the same type. So 1, 2, 3, 4. As soon as he gets 1 more rail built, then he could claim that. And this one is for having 4 in a diagonal line. So 1, 2, 3, 4 built. They can take that one, which once again is endgame points and is a worthwhile thing to work towards and can kind of change the way you play the game if you're aiming towards them. As you can see, there's a lot going on with this game, but I think that is everything that is necessary. Please go ahead and watch my gameplay to get a feel for how the game actually plays. If you have any comments or suggestions, please write them below. If you have any games that you would like to be gamesplayed, please shoot me an email to thegamesplainer@gmail.com. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter @thegamesplainer to keep up to date with the games I'm playing. Subscribe to my videos to keep up to date with the games that I'm gamesplaining. And until next time, enjoy gaming.